Would you have a baby if the government gave you extra money? I know that sounds like an odd question, but Japan is hoping that people in the country will respond positively. Here's what I'm talking about. Japan's Ministry of Health, Labor and Welfare is hoping that the promise of some more money will help people add a child to their family. As of now, new parents in Japan are given a childbirth and childcare lump sum grant of 420,000 yen when their child is born. That is 3,058 US dollars or 2,53,312 Indian rupees. The Health, Labor and Welfare Minister, Katsunobu Kato, wants to increase that amount to 500,000 yen. That is $3,639 or 3,01,559 Indian rupees. The increase in the grant amount being 80,000 yen. How much is that? 48,202 Indian rupees or 582 US dollars. That's the rise, the increase that is being considered. Is that really enough to convince people to have a baby, to change their mind? Well, last week, the minister met the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida to discuss the proposal. It is expected to be approved and put into effect for the 2023 fiscal year, which starts in the spring. But again, is the incentive even good enough? And will it be effective? Here's the thing, according to Mainichi Shimbun, one of the major newspapers in Japan, the nationwide average for delivery costs is approximately 473,000 yen. So even if the grant amount is increased to 500,000 yen, just for the sake of understanding how it would work out for new parents, on average, less than 30,000 yen will be left over to support the child after the childbirth process is completed and the parents return home from the hospital. Less than 30,000 yen. That is just 218 US dollars or 18,087 Indian rupees. Now, while some extra cash is always helpful, and one of the main reasons people do not want to have children in Japan has been the financial factor, is this a good enough incentive? Well, if it does happen, it would be the highest jump in the grant amount. But why is this move even being considered? Because of the country's declining birth rate. You see, Japan has been trying to find a way out. It wants people to have more babies. The country's birth rate has been declining for a long time, and then came COVID-19. What was the result? According to the government data released last year, Japan had the fewest births in more than a century. And there have been concerns over the long-term implications of the population decline. As per Reuters, there were 811,604 births last year. That's the fewest in the Health Ministry data going back to 1899. There was a population decline of 628,205. That's the largest natural decline since data became available. And then there is the issue of the country's aging population. In fact, the World Bank estimates that nearly a third or 29% of Japan's population is aged 65 and older. And this is the highest proportion in the world. Japan's low birth rate has been a concern for long. There is no one reason for this. But considering the costs of raising a child has been a major factor, and with COVID-19 negatively impacting the job and income security, the Japanese capital Tokyo saw its birth rate falling even lower in 2020. Japan has been struggling with a looming demographic crisis for years now. The birth rate has been constantly declining, raising concerns over the aging population and the shrinking workforce. And so Japan is figuring out ways to deal with this, to get people to have more babies, and it is no stranger to incentivizing people. In fact, in 2020, the Japanese government was planning to start giving newlywed couples a wedding gift of 600,000 yen. And Japan is not alone in dealing with the issue of the declining birth rates. Its neighbor South Korea has also been dealing with low birth rates for years now. In 2020, it reported more deaths than births for the first time. In China, the number of newborns registered dropped almost 15% last year. So, is some extra cash a good way to lure people to have babies? Japan could find out soon enough. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.